Yes, that was the full time from the Wankuru Stadium and a win for Express Football Club. They now climb to third position with 10 points from the past 4 matches they played. And what a start it is for the Red Eagles in this season, StarTimes Uganda Premier League. What a start for the Red Eagles. For Bright Stars, it is back to the Kabumba recreational grounds and a lot of homework to do for Joseph Mutiaba, losing to his friend
and
Godwin.
Friendly fire, you can call it, of course, but the manner in which they lost is what is going to instigate the talking points when they go back to the ground. You think they were played off the park in most cases. They couldn't raise the tempo. They came as the big side, and you were thinking that the head-to-head advantage they had, they could utilize, but it kind of failed even in the second half when he introduced many players that you thought could change the game. It didn't happen. One, because of the way you saw Ram. He was very composed when he was playing, but when you see him after the game, the way he was panting, trying to catch the breath, you realize that he used a lot of energy. We were discussing, actually, it was one of the topics in our Tutegero Mpira, that the tiki-taka game takes a lot on the players playing it, although it gives you the advantage. You see him walking, trying to control the pace, but from the positions he was doing that, he makes a lot of run, actually. Using the ball makes you more tired, and he was panting. But that, the advantage is, you get into positions where you are in control. So they maintained that, and it was a tedious thing. I know they are going to rest a little bit to try and get their breath back. And it was a good game, tactical, very, very good for Dodge to use that, because against Joseph Mutiaba, you were sure they are going to come at them, and they did go at them. There were so many moments there. The only thing that they were not very clinical or decisive in making the final shots, and it didn't seem like Express could score again unless those moments when they were going to catch the goalkeeper on the break, because they resorted to a back three, and then the goalkeeper became the sweeper. And there were moments where a striker would steal the ball off him. Wagoina tried, Saif Bate tried and all that, but it was because they knew they needed to get an equalizer or they lose, and that is the Ferguson way. If you are being led, it is still 1-0. Even if they beat you 2-0, it's still a loss. So try to go all out and get an equalizer or win the game. That is why we saw Kitimbo going off a fullback, and they're bringing Chiza, another striker, to add on to the armory. But Express were very, very determined in their game plan. They made the width. They used the whole expanse of the field, and they used the pockets. I was so disappointed in how Bright Stars were letting Kawoya pass the ball, because every time he caught them off guard, he balanced, he pretended he's not going anywhere. Things you used to see of Xavi and Barcelona. And I think Express unearthed a gem in Rams Kawoya. Well, no wonder he got the man of the match, despite the fact that we thought Alpha Sali's goal was very priceless. But for the selectors to choose Kawoya means they realized that there was so much that could happen even after Alpha Sali's goal, that Kawoya actually managed for Express to get that win.
Well, it is definitely a positive result for Express Football Club, and a loss for Joseph Mutiaba's side. Definitely a lot of work to be done, Bule, going into their next game, which is going to be against Vipers on the 27th.
Not a good start for Joseph Mutiaba. I'm not sure what he's going to do with the squad. He has been given ample time for the preseason, and also getting in with some new players. But on the pitch, things are amiss for now. Maybe he needs to consult everything that he can consult, even the technical staff, even the players themselves, because this is a crisis time for them. When you look at their next fixture versus Vipers, you see that's not an easy game. Vipers having draw with AC Villa, you would think that they will go for the kill in their next game, regardless of whom they are going to play. But as Soltilo Bright Stars, they need to really pull up their socks. The players in that team, senior players, Nelson Senkatuka, Katone Meimana, the goalkeeper, Derek, Warren Bule, Nudin Bunjo, then Fiat, these players must wake up, or must also do the best to ensure that they wake the team up. Because if the results are not going their way, As much as you're waiting for the first game, then the first game goes past by you. You wait for the another game. You don't win. You don't get the points. You wait for our next game. You don't do the same. Then definitely it's a crisis time for them. Yeah. But looking forward, they can make amends. With the players that they have, they are young players, full of experience still. If you really believe in something for the badge, then this is the right time. Like SC are facing a crisis time. The only thing that you up to next is going up. If you're willing, if you have the hunger, then everything will be all right. But it's easier said than done.
Yeah, I mean, there are some teams that do have a poor start, but at the end of towards the end of the first round of the season, or even the second round, they sort of managed to climb up. The same thing we saw with URA last season. They started off a bit poor, but towards the end, they sort of picked up their points. Might we see this with Bright Stars, or is it maybe too early to judge, Tendo?
Yeah, it is, but that when you make that a habit, you put yourself at a disadvantage. Even last season, they had the same situation.
Yes.
After the Vipers draw, they made so many draws where you thought they could win, and it's not an easy thing. Eventually, they crawled back and ended up even ahead of Express FC on the table. But the way teams are organized these days, you think that the earlier you make the stride, the better, because you don't know what is going to happen in the mid-season, and Bright Stars is not that side that can make changes in the squad. So you think that they might use the same squad throughout. So you need to grind out results as early as possible. So I think it's not easy to flirt with relegation. Yeah. They have not seen that. They don't know how painful it is. Express saw that. Sports Club Villa saw that.
So Bright Stars saw it.
Is there a moment they were really flirting? I think they were not at the basement. It was not as scary.
Chiwanuka Paul was the coach then.
Yeah, in Paul Chiwa's time, but still there was teams below. But now
we are third.
Third from bottom is a little bit safer, because and you are aiming at some teams.
It was the COVID period. Because when the COVID came, and then they made some announcements there, the teams that were more bottom were just blacked out. So it was a danger time. So I would not want.
You can see it from the pain he's feeling. He remembers that time.
I would not want for Soltilo Blasters to go back in that moment. Joseph Muchava needs to do the best in these times, because you cannot wait for the next game. That you're going to win the next game, it never comes. Unless
and talking about that time, Express was on top, because they benefited from that and took the league.
Yeah.
So I think it's desperate times for him. You need to accept it as soon as possible, because you are talking about KCC. When they started losing the first game, you were thinking it is something they can alter. But when you look at the way it is going, you think they can even have 5 for hell coming. Against NEC, it's going to be a derby now. That is a game that was not in their dictionary, but NEC and versus KCC at Lugogo, it's now a derby. Yeah. So you think that as quick as games come, you can easily lose track and have everything in disarray. So it's a little pity for them, and you saw it in their body language. The people who were in the stands, the statisticians, you saw it at the technical bench with Ian Mutenda, the technical director, and the whole lot. You saw it with the players on the reserves, and they have so many players. I think sometimes the coaches make things that could actually look like they are trying to hate their own career, because it's very automatic. Don't change something that hasn't actually broken down, and that is what Express is benefiting from. The back line is always the same, and you know very well that now that Isarumu is injured, Otim is coming back. He had his time last season. The right back position, Andrew Kagwa is waiting. So you see the way he handles the team. James Odoch, it's a chess game. And then the way you see other teams handling their thing, it's like they're playing Ludo. You know, in Ludo you choose which button is moving, but in chess every step counts, and the earlier you start planning that, the better, and you can easily know what is going astray, but you don't know who to blame when you just shuffle players all the time. It's the same thing you see with KCC. You don't know whether Emojong is the problem, or goalkeeper Mutebi, or even Derek Ochan. Yes. So let him be the first goalkeeper. If he makes a mistake, and it happened in this situation, it's not the same when the Bullets were in goal. They were all capable of being number one. But somehow they accepted whoever was starting and they learned, so that every time this one got the opportunity, they really owned the position. But this thing of not knowing whether you will be the goalkeeper tomorrow, whether you will be the right back tomorrow, whether you are going to play in defense, you see the team struggling, and it has changed for Villa. The back line is known, the midfield is known, the forward line is known. However mediocre the players would be, they can psych themselves up to perform.
Are we seeing the same thing at Express now that James Odochi is at the helm? Are we seeing maybe a constant starting 11 or with a couple of changes that can come into the starting 11? Bule?
Yes, the advantage that he has as James Odochi, he has full squad, first 11. They are never changeable for these first few games. But my worry should be in the substitutes. He doesn't have that squad depth. Yes, there are players, but not of pure quality, whom you're going to depend on to change games as thick as they come in. But rightly so, their season has started off on a good note. That shouldn't worry the other players, because if you're performing, even the substitute will come in with that confidence and do what is expected of him, and just carry on that mentality. It helps the team as a whole. But if January comes, when Express is doing well, they get in some new names like Daniel Mzee Surunkuma or any other player who might be helpful to Express FC. It will be good. But right now, just continue with that trajectory. But for Soltilo Bright Stars, I'm not sure what is always happening in the boardroom, because the way they sack the coaches, the way they bring in coaches, there's a question mark on that. Because Asaf Mabazi he was below par, but still no ample time was given to him. Beckamboa, after some slump, not much time was given to him. Right now, Joseph Mutiaba, this is his first season. How are they going to handle him? I'm looking at that instance. Are they going to give him more time to get it right, or will they pressurize him that if things don't go your way, we're sacking you? But as a coach coming through, you need that time. It wasn't the situation at Soltilo Bright Stars. They would give the coach time, as we saw with Paul Chuanuka and then Kajoba. They spent a lot of years there. They gave them the time until everything stabilized. Then they brought in Mohamed Seka, sacked him after a few matches. They brought in Beckamboa after a few seasons. Right now, Joseph Mutiaba, so it's a miss at Soltilo Bright Stars. Only the players on the pitch need to do the best to arrest the poor form, but also in the backroom staff. Things need to be dealt with in the right way, not just by emotions, and we wait by that.
And Express do play UPDF in their next game, and after that, the derby, Tendo.
The derby.
Which derby is that? You're scaring the man.
Yeah, I don't know how to say it, which derby, but he knows.
He also knows, because he has at least a toe in Sports Club Villa somewhere. Much as the bigger foot is this way, he has a cateau there in Sports Club Villa. So football. You know the derby, you know what the derby means. Even UPDF is a tight game for them, because the coach at the helm, Pius Ngabo, was at Express. He was an assistant. He developed most of the young players there under Kefa Kisala. And so you think he knows a lot about them, and they are also struggling, desperate for points. So you think it's a tough game they are going to have. UPDF also struggling in the playing department, especially when after they lost the CEO, Ashraf Miro, who actually crossed to Express. So you think that there is a lot that they have to fight for. It's going to be a tough game, especially going to Bombo for Express. But such games are what makes a team develop a thick skin, and I think having 2 wins on the row against KCC and against Bright Stars, no Express person I would have thought that, because KCC has been ahead of Express for some time, and Express were always playing catch-up, and Bright Stars has held a better head-to-head advantage. So if you sort out those games with 6 points, you wouldn't have a problem winning against UPDF, or at least at worst getting a draw away, which is also going to be a good result for them coming into the derby, where that one can go either way. The only thing about that game is normally the team that is on form loses. So I'm not very scared about Villa versus Express. I know where it will go, because
You know
it
where
will
you
depend.
go?
It
You know
will
where to
depend
go?
on who is on form on the day. You saw what happened when the Bale-inspired win came.
Yes, yes.
Express was the better side, so it always has those moments. In the game where Tamale scored, Villa was unbeatable at Nambole, and Tamale comes, scores the goal that opens the stadium, and you're like, oh my God, how did they even squeeze that win there? So it has always had that moment.
The way Express is performing, I would really want AC Villa to up their tempo in these times, so that we get two big traditional clubs vying for those top slots. This is a good time for Express. Only Villa to climb up there. For KCCA, I don't think right now they can catch up. Maybe in the second round, because it's a poor start from them.
You think it's a bit too late for them to catch up as KCC?
As long as you arrest the next match. The next match will determine how far they're going to go this season. Because over 4 losses on the bounce, then it's one of the worst starts for KCFC. The coach, Sergio Trujillo, needs to do something, plus the help of the technical staff. You don't want to be in that situation as a player.
I think we need to use KCCA to preach the gospel in other aspects, because what KCCA did is what a drunkard does. They overdrank. And when you overdrink, you can take any drink available in the shelf, not knowing that some drinks are not good for your body. You actually intoxicate yourself the more. Because they had something very stable with Mike Mutebi, they ruined it themselves. After Mike Mutebi, they got Molebi Ekwaso, trying to do the things the way Mike was doing, but without the big-headedness, in quotes, because they thought Mike was big-headed and was getting larger than the club. So Molebi Ekwaso was more moderate, and he did actually better. But somehow, a few results, they started questioning him, to the extent that he thought that he didn't have the authority anymore. And after washing that down, they give Jackson Mayanja the job. Jackson Mayanja put himself in a self-destruct mode, because he actually ran his contract out by having the indiscipline problems with the media, then the team, and then the referees and all that. Now he's a director at the club. He should have known how the path went wrong, and they put it back. Then all of a sudden, instead of choosing another more moderate, they went foreign, because they were jumping into the Vipers bandwagon, and you could see they were trying to follow what Vipers is doing.
And AC Villa too.
Yeah, of course, AC Villa has been planned, because we all know that the planner for Sports Club Villa is Coach Mitchell. All the time, because of what he created since he came in 2000. So he's always the planner, and wherever he points would be easy, because that is why it's easy for Molebi Ekwaso to come, despite the fact that he's a KCC and Villa and Express player. You would think he's more of a KCC, but because he's a Mitchell product, it is easy for him to be accepted. But for KCC, you don't know where the decisions come from. You don't know whether it's the CEO to blame. You don't know whether it's the board to blame, or the coaches, or even the players. So, and they are well-remunerated clubs. So I think they have drunk so much more than they can take, that they have to fight the hangover. Hopefully they don't go the way Express went and flirted with relegation until the Masavu game, and the way Sports Club Villa flirted with relegation. Because the KCC, I know, might not come back from that. Because they have some elite and new fans, they might not really passionately fight out of that, so they have to sort it out easily.
The advantage that they have, KCCA, is that they have finances to their backing. Maybe that can play a big part. Maybe players being remunerated well, they give their all in every match. Sometimes you can go on matches just because of the money aspect. Let's fight for these bonuses. It gives you that win. In that situation, Express was not in that situation, because we were fighting for money. We are fighting to be our best on the pitch. Things couldn't work out. But for KCA, they have that leeway. But nevertheless, they are in a poor slump.
Yeah,
whatever they did,
situation, Bully.
Whatever
tell us
did,
what you do as a player to get out of that. You are seeing points go, and you're a big team, and the fans, how do the fans treat you, and all that. And we put the picture into KCC and see exactly how they can get out of that.
For me, sometimes when you're getting money, you can use it as a motivation, but sometimes there is a way you can look at it and say you become a bit relaxed, because there's a guarantee that maybe something is going to show up at the end of the month or something. That is maybe my view, but I don't know from your view, Bully?
From my view, because I was with Express FC in that relegation battle season where we survived with myself with the last game where Alfred Leku scored. But it was all about mentality, because we knew the money wasn't there, but we were fighting for the badge, we were fighting for ourselves. If you are Daniel Soyunkumamze, if you are Ayub Salita, and Express was going to be relegated and you're in that team, it would have been on you till your last day on earth. That is one of the best words that the supporters used to tell us. So Bule, you're part of Express FC, is going to be relegated. You'll be remembered for that. Even after your last day.
So those words should be translated to somewhere else?
Actually,
but it's still early.
actually I remember you have brought that. Julius Bakunda is now the funds chairperson. He was a coordinator then. He came with Sarah Fidanzata. They came at the media house I was working on and said, come and drum for us some support and rally the people to give us money. After that picture where Geoffrey Rutaya was literally weeping, looking at a game going astray, and they came and I asked them, what exactly do you want? We want to hold a Save Express campaign and all that. So I made a few calls to the family people, because at a certain moment they were not interested in the team anymore. They had distanced themselves. So I made a phone call to the KKs, to the folks, and they said, we'll discuss that over lunch on the weekend. And I'm like, we don't have time. By the weekend, Express will have lost another game. So they said, okay, give them $1 million shillings there, and they organize the event. Then we see if they are not because there was always that thing that when you come as an elite fan, the fans will abuse you, they don't talk nicely and all that. And I remember even in the first season when Keke had gotten the chairmanship, he was making a speech and some guy came and grabbed the mic, office, you know, and he was like, if he had not gotten that pep talk, he was going to walk away. The same way we saw Haji Mandela walking away. After all he had done, a fan comes and puts a word that is bigger than a satellite. You cannot dissect it, or even carry it, or even answer back. And he said, this is not my place anymore. So that story, again, I helped them do that, because I am a very good link for that. And I remember how Bakunda was conducting himself. And that is the reason I really respect Hassan Budwadda. Because any other chairperson would have just run away. Hassan Budwadda, Bakunda, Hamza Junju, and Sarah. They are the 4 people in the thick of that. And then the coaches there. I don't know what they were telling them to tell the players. But at least they tried to do it. But that was not a situation you could easily arrest.
There are many players, I tell you, in that moment. But as KCA, this is early for them. Maybe they should wake up. But still mentally, the players are not yet there. When you look at the fights that they're having on the pitch, you've spoken about Shaban having it with the goalkeeper Mutebi. You just know in the camp it's always there. Moses Wise were being left off the team, plus Derek Ochan. Those are instances that are going to hurt the team up to the last day. If you don't arrest it right now, it will affect you. However much your case is here, it's going to affect you. And Tendo has spoken about it that if you don't organize yourself rightly, so right now, then at the end you face a bit of a hip. I can say you did well in the later years, but right now it's a slump that you're facing. How are you going to overcome it? After our winnings, there are going to be those tough times. How you respond to them is vital. KCA didn't respond to them in the best way. Now they are facing the drums. The best way that they can really do the best is make the best decisions from the board and even the players to help KCA on the pitch. But it's one of the worst starts for KCFC. Otherwise, they might find themselves in that slump that we found ourselves in with Express FC.
Actually, that also reminds me of when I was training with police. And we went on and the team went on a very, very bad run. And I was actually speaking to Sonny Maweja, and he was like, man, it was tough.
It's always tough.
It was too late to turn things around. Too late.
And when you looked at the police team, the players were so good. You see, the problem with flirting with relegation, you look at the team on paper and you think it's not possible.
Yes.
Then the points don't come. The points don't come.
And you win a match.
Game out.
I looked at Abdallah and I said, Muko, what is happening? Man, I don't know. Look at this team. Look at this team. What can I do now? They have so many players.
I would have really wanted KCCA, AC Villa, Express to give us a fight where we see.
Maybe things will turn around.
Yeah,
You never know.
yeah,
Football
yeah.
is football.
Yeah,
But
but
Sergeant-
that
Sergeant
is the
Waki-
nature of life anyway. When things go well so much and you go at the top, the only way is down. How you control where you fall determines how strong you are. Because now KCC has to arrest this. Because in the process, it could take away the CEO. It could take away the thoughts of having the Bazungu coach. It could take away the thoughts of having foreign players. Because it's not bad to start getting foreign players. Because when you get some wrong, you'll get the ones right. Because KCC has used foreign players since time immemorial. I remember when they started bringing the likes of Ederi Mvambano, Pompido Mipango and all that, they brought players and eventually brought the likes of Hassani Bajope and all that, and KCC came back up. So it is good to have them and fail, because even Villa had them and failed. In 94, after winning the trophy, they had Alan Baramftie, Michael Ayeni from Nigeria. They had Abdallah Ramadan, the Vitalo goalkeeper, and then they had Jalo Bebeto. They had all those players. And then it went on until the Kuchuka Songos, the Ramadan Erengesa, Matthew Otomax, Bernard Mwalala. Then they started winning again. Eventually, Maurice Sunguti and all that, Oscar Kadenge, my friend, and all that. So this thing is not bad. But you don't do it because you don't have local players. You need to have that blend. And that is where the blend failed. For me, I still insist, you cannot have 3 Bazungu on a team who speak different English, and then you use players who cannot comprehend English very quickly, and you are in a situation where the game is not flawless on the pitch. Because if a game is flawless, the language doesn't matter. But if you need to impart tactics every minute, imagine I saw him against Chitara, and I was asking, now what is he saying? Whatever he's saying, who is receiving it? You get it?
The head coach?
Yeah. Now it's
You saw the same thing with Vipers.
Now it's
That English.
now it's the job.
You talked with Mitchell.
Yes.
How many times did you understand what he was saying?
You pick
lot.
some, but now
And you were composed
I was
to
very
listen.
composed, yes.
Now imagine you are running and he's saying things.
Now
Do you
it's
really
the-
understand?
now it's
When
the
you
time
can
for-
fail to get even Luganda instructions.
Now it's the time for Jackson Magera to do something.
Now that
because
is yes.
he's in the middle of the storm, and he was previously at AC Villa, did a good job at AC Villa. So if he can stand up right now, do something, he will be given he'll be given the nod when time comes. That's why he was brought in as assistant coach. But we just pray for the best for KCFC.
The Muzungu game plan must go to a level where you can even use sign language. You talk to the player before the game, you show them the game plan so that they understand it, and you only knock them to remind them. You know, you can make gestures and Bule remembers, oh, maybe I've made many steps, but you cannot be shouting, Bule, you've made many steps. And if players get used to that instruction, they become robots. The day you are stuck for words, they will also be non-functional. So players need to be taught how to think for the team, and then you guide them from how they are thinking. Then you eliminate those that don't fit in your system. And that is where now we go wrong in coaching. I was fortunate I handled a team, Spartans, at the epic of their game. And the coaches that we were with, all of them I'm seeing their trajectory. Daniel Male at Vipers, Davis Nono, Gundi at Luhima at Proline, and they are all moving in the direction. And when you look at the players, the Ogwangs, you see that they are moving. Why? Because at a certain level, football has to be played by people, not by words. Majid Musisi could not have played in France. He didn't know French. I don't think he even could hear English. The French could not speak the English he hears, but he knew how to play football, and they started to adopt with his style and built a team so much that when you interview players, strikers of that generation, from George Weah to Sylvan Vilton, they will tell you our coaches used to say, look at that guy. He can't speak well, but we are playing on him. And he's winning. He's the best foreign player in our league. Yeah. So football at the end of the day is playing, and people knowing what you are playing. So that relationship is psychological, not just about words.
Well, so many stories here when it comes to football in Uganda, and how the StarTimes Uganda Premier League might be moving on forward after this match day 4. But it is the end of match day 4, and the other result for URA, they have managed to get a win over Okiso Giants. Ivan Ahimbusiwe scoring the goal in the 48th minute, and it is 8 points from 4 games for the URA team. For Okiso Giants, it is another loss. But from us in studio, it is a win for Express Football Club and a continuous positive start for James Odoch. For Joseph Mutiaba, it is another lesson to learn, as they will be hosting Vipers on the 27th come this month. From us in studio, it is a good night, and see you next time for the StarTimes Uganda Premier League.